Hello, friends. It is I once more, Rob, sorrowfully coming before you in admission that I have been hitting some snags in my production of Lair of OmnusI. When I first started out Lair of OmnusI, I was delayed by several weeks with obsessive editing. Now I've been trying something new with level 10. I tried to enlarge my environment and change my positioning, camera work, things like that. Something that sounds relatively simple, and I certainly thought it would be relatively simple, has just proven that it requires a little bit more care and work than I've been able to put out for it. I've already had to scratch 10 hours worth of recording footage as various things went wrong, and I deeply, deeply apologize. I'm still very much learning as I go. So, that being said, I'm going to have to ask you once more to try to be satisfied with the third work that I offered for the RPGaDay back in August, and assure you that we're going to be paring things back. I'm going to be a little less ambitious because I definitely want to get level 10 out. I really want to start offering tutorial things that will help people get into the hobby of gaming, and use my advice that with any luck we'll start seeing new people come in who are well adjusted and prepared for the challenges the hobby provokes. Until that happens, which should happen next week, as I said, by simplifying things I should make it very much doable. I'm getting tired of hearing my own lines. So, I crave your patience one more week, and I offer you this insightful little video that I shot several months ago. Thank you for your understanding. Please stick with me. We will get more Layers of OmnusI out for you. So, again, thank you for watching, and here's my video that I made. OmnusI. I am once again here for RPGaDay, question number 3, which is character moment you are proudest of. Now, I've been gaming now for over 30 years, and there's a lot of character moments that I have. However, I have spent most of the time as the dungeon master, game master, what have you. I've run far more games than I've played, so it isn't actually that hard. The question is, which one am I proudest of? Now, I myself know that a lot of people enjoy, getting the spotlight and doing something really cool. But I've always been of the sort that if I can get a chuckle out of the group, if I can make people laugh and keep them engaged, that's usually a lot better for me than being the lead and being the greatest at combat or the greatest spell slinger or what have you. I generally drift into a support class by my nature. So, one time we were playing West End Star Wars D6 role-playing game. I love me some Star Wars. And we were playing fairly new characters, but we had such a huge group. We had 2 different storytellers on 2 separate groups playing in the same large basement. And you could hear what the other groups were doing, which was kind of cool. And then periodically, Rebel Command would have us blend the groups together, adding different skills and abilities and letting us play off different things. The DMs also went on rotation too, so I took a turn and others took turns. It was a very memorable campaign. I had two different characters in that campaign. One of them was, and if you've played this game system before, feel free to roll your eyes if you will, but I was playing the Chaotic Jedi. Named after Don Quixote, the Spaniard who fancied himself a knight and tilted at dragons that turned out to be windmills. The Chaotic Jedi thinks he's a Jedi, but he's really not. He's really crazy. And he gets whisperings from the Force. He has the ability to sense the Force a little bit when he starts out, but no capacity and no formal training. This isn't a Jedi that's likely to run around with a lightsaber. So my character, when I decided he was crazy, he was cracked. He walked around in a bathrobe, he carried a flashlight that he thought was a lightsaber, and when down the road, one of the characters actually put a blaster charge into his flashlight, so when a stormtrooper called him on it, he turned it on and blasted him in the chest. That was pretty funny. But when the groups blended, and we took in some new people, the first group was really kind of hardcore Star Wars. You know, they played a brash pilot who had the potential to be a Jedi, and he was working towards that. And they had a Wookiee who was, you know, heroic and powerful and everything you think of when you think of Chewbacca. So the group was kind of regaling us with tales about what made them cool. The group that we had, well, I had my Chaotic Jedi. We had a Gamorrean pacifist. You know, the Gamorrean, the big pigmen in Tusken, or in Jabba the Hutt's palace with the big axes. Yeah, well, he was a Gamorrean, but a pacifist. He didn't want to hurt anybody. Really big, really strong. I don't know what they were thinking when they made that archetype, but that's what he wanted to play. We had a droid who was scared to death of us because I kept making up these proverbs for the Jedi. One of the things was nudity or clothes interfere with one's connection to the Force. So for a while the ship was run by a naked human and a naked Gamorrean. Not pretty. And then there was a squib too, a little blue creature who kept stealing everything that wasn't nailed down. It was not a serious group. So these guys come in and they're telling us about their combat prowess. And apparently one of their adventures took them onto a giant derelict ship. It turned out to be a floating zoo. So they had many encounters with the wild creatures there. One of them turned out to be an infantile sarlacc. You like the giant creature in the bottom of the pit in Tatooine that Luke gets dangled over in Return of the Jedi. Well, apparently this one was a baby, and the Wookiee managed to kill it. So they were telling us all these tales. And I was determined that I was not going to let this phase my Jedi. It was cool as heck. It must have been a great story, and I kind of would have loved to have seen that group and how they did everything. They fought a Rancor and all kinds of crazy creatures. But I, again, was in character. And one of those moments, I was just so locked in character. I looked the player who was playing the brash pilot cum Jedi, I looked him right in the eyes and I said, "The ability to destroy a baby sarlacc is insignificant compared to the power of the Force." Completely deadpan. The group shattered with laughter. I absolutely just completely broke down. They were gasping for breath, and I couldn't help it. I got caught up alongside of them. The other group wanted to know why we were laughing so hard. They told the story, and those were the guys who had been adventuring with him. So they broke down into complete laughter, and I completely side-railed both groups for a good 10 to 20 minutes, repeating the story and doing the impression. All in all, if I can bring laughter to people and I can entertain, to me, that's the greatest moment that I've ever had. And that doesn't take away any of the cool characters I've had. I've got stacks and stacks of characters, all with their own story. I've had characters that have done pretty great things. I've had a lot of infamous characters that did absolutely nothing and died pitifully. But if you want to know what I think is the greatest moment I ever had, it was in that basement those years ago, almost 20 years ago now, and just tearing up the group because I was in character. It was so appropriate, and it was such, you know, it was a great ripoff of the quote from Obi-Wan Kenobi, obviously, in Star Wars Episode 4, but that was such a good time. And it's the one I'm the most proud of. Feel free to let me know if you think that you know, that might have been a great moment that you would have been proud of. I think that if you'd have been there, you probably would have been laughing along with the rest of us. I'm pretty proud of it. So good times. Thanks for watching. Look forward to giving more of my input on RPG a Day, and I will see you next time at the Lair of OmnusI. Farewell.